The lunar eclipse is behind, and the solar eclipse is April 8th. The 2 weeks between them can be loaded with energy. So check out my new video analyzing both eclipses, looking backward and forward. It's like a buy me a coffee, but you get a video too. Funastrology.com, right at the top. And thank you for your support. Welcome in to the April Fool's Monday New Week edition of the Fun Astrology Podcast. Thank you for daring to stop in here today. You're like, oh, he's going to throw us a hook. No, I'm not going to throw you any hooks today because some of the stuff that we're talking about in the sky right now is obviously serious business. We'll be talking about some of that today, but we are moving ourselves toward, obviously, next week's big eclipse. And today we have a little bump in the road called Mercury Retrograde. We'll talk about that. Hey, I've got something special for you tomorrow. Do you remember Stephanie Vickers, who did the medical pieces that we did a couple of years ago? Some of you remember that. Well, Stephanie is back. We reconnected, and she mentioned that she had been studying the Saros cycles. Bernadette Brady is the one who popularized that, and Stephanie's been looking into it, and we're going to talk about the Saros cycle of this eclipse season in a little bit of an extended episode tomorrow. So we'll catch back up with Steph and take a little bit more of your time, but also delivering something that I think is interesting to listen to. Also, Steve Forrest Book of the Moon is out as well. Don't forget that. It does help support the podcast, and it is an amazing look at Luna. And speaking of, we begin the day with the moon in Capricorn. 12:05 a.m. Eastern today is when it entered Capricorn. Mercury stations direct tonight at 6:14 Eastern, and those are the two big events in the sky today. But we have a lot more context to set up, for sure. And one other quick note before I forget again. I missed something last week. Last Wednesday, the 27th, was our 5th anniversary around here of this podcast. Started it on the 27th of March, 2019 at 4:46, I believe it was, p.m., and it began in Plano, Texas. Mentioned it last night on Level Up, and then yesterday was the 11th anniversary of the Subconscious Mind Mastery podcast. So the thanks is all to you. I so appreciate you listening and supporting the things that we're doing around here, and I really appreciate all your encouraging messages. Hit that buy me a coffee, would you, for the anniversary. Show some love and some appreciation, and we're going to keep this train a-running. The link for that is in the show notes of the audio podcast in the description of YouTube. Thank you again so much. Appreciate all your love. And speaking of that, the moon wobble peaks on Thursday. And also Thursday, Venus becomes our oracle planet. In other words, the last planet up in the sky before the sun, Venus, starting on Thursday. Now let's swing back around and talk about Mercury going retrograde here for just a wee little bit. This, of course, is when Mercury passes between the Earth and the Sun. It starts at 6:14 p.m. this evening, and it will originate at 27 degrees 13 minutes in Aries. The interesting phenomenon about this Mercury retrograde is that from beginning today, the Sun and Mercury will be moving toward each other in the same sign. At the time of the retrograde, the Sun will be at 12, almost 13 degrees Aries, and Mercury, like I say, starting from 27 degrees. They'll be moving toward each other, the Sun moving a lot faster until they conjoin next Thursday, and that will be at 22 degrees. So think about it. The Sun is at 12, it goes to 22, that's 10. Mercury is at 27, it goes to 22, that's 5. The Sun is moving basically twice as fast as Mercury. This retrograde will last until April 25th, when Mercury stations direct that morning at just before 9 a.m. Eastern. It will have moved basically to 16 degrees, but this is a precise business. It's 15 degrees, 59 minutes. 1 tick, 1 minute inside 16 degrees of Aries. That basically puts it in the middle of the sign. Then it will start moving forward again and retrace all that ground for the next couple of weeks. Now, you remember how we've talked about Pluto's influence? Pluto sitting there at 0 degrees of Aquarius. Right now it's at 1 degree, 52 minutes. It will be stationing retrograde here in a little bit, but it is moving. It'll get just past 2 degrees before it turns around to go retrograde. So it's moving in that direction. And this Mercury retrograde squares Pluto. It's an across-the-line of sign square, meaning that the square really is to 1 degree Taurus, because Pluto in Aquarius go over 90 degrees. That's 1 degree Taurus. But Mercury is sitting at 27 degrees Aries, right at the end of Aries. So across the line of sign, but that is well within orb of a square to Pluto. So what does all of this mean? Well, we have the sun moving toward Mercury. This is, I think, going to amplify this Mercury retrograde. All Mercury retrogrades in the sense of when your technology bugaboos, it's all about like, right? It becomes a very personal thing. But I think this retrograde is going to have a lot more personal elements about it. I did a Subconscious Mind Mastery podcast over the weekend talking about how to work through spiky energy. 8 different tips on how to deal with this tension that could come up from this. Because the Mercury retrograde is going to be making us face things in the reword activity. Review, reassess, reevaluate, realign. In some cases, retreat. But it is going to be something that is going to affect us personally. And with the square to Pluto, anything could happen. That makes it more powerful, even more powerful. Expect themes of transformation. Like I said, I just feel, and I'm not giving more energy to this, but my own situation that I've talked about in here seems to be a poster child theme of everything going on related to this and the upcoming eclipse. It's just hit bullseye. Something I have seen over and over is that when you take a stand on something, the universe always tests you. So it's like in this very public way, the universe has handed me a very difficult situation to see, how are you going to handle this, bub? Are you all talk or do you have any substance to you? So, as publicly as I can in respect to my family, I'm going to be going through this, and I'll tell you the twists and turns in the road. And that is the kind of stuff of a square to Pluto with an upcoming Mercury retrograde. Well, that gets us set up for the week, at least energetically. We'll talk to Stephanie tomorrow about Saros cycles. That's going to be cool. And then I'll see where we are for Wednesday, but Wednesday or Thursday we'll probably sneak another Book of the Moon excerpt in there for us to enjoy from Stephen Forrest. So we'll have a very good week as we prepare for the solar eclipse number 1 of 2024. Have a great Monday. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.